announcement, I would like to have a roll call and include our student trustee from Terra Nova, Mr. Fletcher Edwards, who, although he is not officially sworn in, he is joining us tonight.
Student trustee Edwards.
Or present.
Trustee Ingarrett.
Present.
Trustee Pente.
Here.
Trustee Salahuddin.
Here.
Vice President Lee.
Here.
President Tejada.
Here. The agenda, are there any changes to the agenda?
There are none.
Have a motion to approve?
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Approval of minutes?
Move to approve minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Let's see, the only thing to report out of closed session is that the board approved a release in case number 22-003 by a vote of 5-0. And now for our board report, we'll start with Mr. Edwards. Do you have anything to share from Terra Nova? Any activities?
Not a particular amount to anything of dire consequence, but we recently had a club fair that went successfully, and the theme was announced for our homecoming. That is all from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Ingarrett?
I don't have much to report tonight, except I am delighted to see Mr. Edwards here sitting next to me, giving his voice
Thank you
for
very
Terra
much.
Nova High
I
School.
appreciate
So
that.
welcome, and thank you for being here tonight.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, and that is all I have.
Mr. Ochapinti?
Yeah. Let's say first, happy National Voter Registration Day, and of course, a week and month ahead of us that I think is important just to note and encourage our community to make sure that you register to vote so they can be part of not just decision-making in our meetings regularly by, joining us in public comment, but also in exercising your right to vote. And of course, for those who do not have the right to vote yet, to continue to encourage people to be involved in any way you can, including encouraging people who can vote to vote. Certainly, no member of this board would be here if it weren't for democracy and our ability to get involved, and most of all, for those who voted for us to be here and represent and help advocate for the voices in our community. And so I think that's just really important to note, especially with the elections in our current, with this generation, obviously, and in current years, in recent years, that we need not only current voters to understand the importance of voting, but especially our youth, especially our students, and of course our educators who are here to help shape the skills that allow our youth to engage society through democracy and through using their voice in any capacity to help make a change for the positive in their community. And so I just want to continue to encourage that. Also, happy Latinx or Latino Heritage Month. This started this week or last week, and of course goes on to October 15th. Of course, this month overlaps with other heritage months, Filipino Heritage Month, Native American Heritage Month in November, and many other heritage months throughout the year. And so in acknowledging and recognizing that, as a Latino elected official here in our community, I want to encourage everybody to take part in the celebrations and acknowledgement, and of course, education that comes with that, and understanding our complementing, I think, our solidarity in terms of our roles in our community and how we can use our platforms as not only as elected officials, but as everyday people to engage each other and to share our cultures and to be involved at every level we can be, because representation does matter, and because our representation helps encourage and inspire leadership in our community in ways that brings us together. And so on that note, I will leave that for now, and that's it for now.
Thank you. Ms. Salahuddin?
I'm just going to report that we had as usual, it's nice to get back into our cadence of meetings that we normally have as the school year starts. And so having our student advisory council meetings before each of our board meetings these are the reasons why I became a school board member, and it's nice to engage with our students that way. And we have a very engaged group, and so I'm excited for this year and what they're going to do. So that's all I have.
Mr. Lee?
Yeah, it's good to be here this evening. Good to actually attend the various back-to-school nights we've had since the last meeting. Westmore and Jefferson and Oceana, well attended, and nice to see the families and especially the newer families trying to navigate and figure out which classes to attend, but also just fun to interact with the kids, whether it's the Green Hats or ASB or Link Crew, or in one case, the superintendent's own son. So that was actually a lot of fun to be able to just be around on campus and see the joy that the kids have being on campus and showing the different parents around to each of their classes. So fun to be out there.
I also was, it was really great to be among the students and staff, teachers, and families at the back-to-school nights at Jefferson and Oceana. It also, I've suffered a lot of loss in the last year, and this just reminds me why I do this. Just being around everyone, seeing kids start their lives. I mean, as young adults, it's so exciting. And also, I'm really excited about our Student Advisory Council. It's a very engaged group. When we've told them, this is your group, you decide, well, they made decisions, and they know what they want to do. It is, and then afterwards, we tell everybody, okay, it's time to go home, and they still congregate and share notes and just, enjoy each other. So I'm really looking forward to this council. So now for the superintendent report.
Thank you. At the risk of being a little bit redundant, I too am very excited about this student advisory. They are a really great group, and I think they're having fun calling me Tony.
Yes.
It's very funny. And at the back-to-school nights were awesome. It's the first time I've attended back-to-school night as a parent. So I did visit usually I try to pop in as many classrooms as I can. And this time I just followed my son's schedule at his school. And just excited to have a year. I said this last board meeting, but this year feels much more like a regular school year. And I think that's really good for all of us, for the students and staff. I wanted to mention that Jefferson High School has started this week with their Unity Days. They're going to have Unity Days for the different grade levels. So this was 3 days of juniors, I think, and they're going to go through the other grade levels as well. But I'm going to visit tomorrow, but I heard from both students last night as well from Principal Harrigan that they were really positive. It's focused on empathy and leadership and communication, and I think it's sounds like it's really going to make a real positive difference. And then lastly, I just wanted to give a little shout out for the Daly City mural that was unveiled last week. Our Grizz Art students at Jefferson and their teacher Suzanne, and I cannot pronounce her last name. Kenline, thank you. And Victoria Magbelong, and just many community organizations were there. It's really impressive. So if you haven't gone to see it yet, I really encourage you to do so. Thanks.
Great. Ms. Casey for the EFT Local 1481 report.
Good evening, everyone. Good to see you all. I just have a few things. One is the special education group is starting a labor management council. So we're going to do a pilot this year, and we're really excited about it. I was really interested in having both classified and certificated participate. So that'll be October 4th, or will be our first meeting. I wanted to remind people that public service loan forgiveness is available, and the deadline for that is October 31st. So student loans, They're forgiving public service. So please get on the website. And the last thing is that I have today is we'll be restarting negotiations. We started negotiations last year, and the reason why I'm bringing it up is because I don't want people to think we've got like a brand new, fresh list of things. We took a pause to see the budget, and so at the end, towards the end of October, we'll start again. And you know, it's not a brand new opening everything up because we already had some things on our list that we were going to talk about. But that's kind of what's happening with the union. A lot of people have joined. I think our membership is up to, I don't know, above 95%. I'll have to do the numbers. So.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's see, do we have a COVID-19 response update?
There's no update tonight.
On to the consent agenda items.
Move to approve consent.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
We have public comment?
I don't have any cards at this time.
All right. On to our discussion items. So, Superintendent Presta, regarding the board meeting calendar amendment?
Sure. Thank you. So at the last board meeting, we talked about the need to reschedule the Tuesday, October 4th board meeting because it conflicted with Yom Kippur. We looked at some dates and decided on some dates, but then found that actually it was still Yom Kippur. I think we decided the next day. In looking at the calendar, we were not able to find any dates that worked that week. And we would need to go into later that second week, which was right before the next board meeting. So at Executive Cabinet, we talked about the business that we would need to be putting on, and we recommend that we just cancel that meeting because it's so close to the next meeting, it would be difficult for us to find items to put on it.
The October 4th
Yeah.
meeting, we'll cancel that.
Yeah.
And then the next meeting would be October
October
20th?
18th.
18th, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's our recommendation.
Okay, and so you just need direction from us?
Just direction.
Are we okay with that, board members?
I'm okay with that.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Our action items. So the first is Human Resources, Resolution 2022-23/3, resolution for the exemption to the separation from service requirement for certificated employees. Ms. Lujan?
Good evening, everyone. As many of you know, STRS, the State Teacher Retirement System, has a 180-day waiting period whereby once a teacher retires, they have to wait 180 days before they can return to work. The resolution before you would waive the 180-day waiting period and would allow us to bring back 2 teachers who recently retired so that way they can sub, since we are facing some critical sub shortage needs.
Motion?
Question.
Yes?
Thank you for bringing us to our attention. As a teacher, I know the need for subs, especially because I began teaching in this district as a sub. And so I'm glad that we have at least a short-term solution for things like this, where it comes down to a technicality, and we get people who recently into retirement, thankfully, return to us so soon in their retirement to help, stabilize our schools and provide that guidance and leadership and just coverage. It means a lot. I guess my main question would be are we seeing this pattern across districts in our county, in our state, where we're having to waive retirement, requirements in order to provide substitute teacher coverage?
That's a great question, and thank you for asking that. We have been successful in bringing on some new subs, and you will see that on the personnel action report. So that piece has been very lucky. But to the larger question about is this a county-wide pattern, yes, the County Office of Education actually provided all HR directors and associates to step-by-step guidance on how we could waive the 180-day waiting period. So all districts in San Mateo County seem to be taking advantage of this opportunity. We are just very lucky that we have teachers who love our district so much that they're willing to come back so soon into retirement, as you noted.
Thank you, appreciate that.
And, it's a national issue. Like, this is a huge national issue. And that we're only waiving STRS requirements, where a lot of other places are waiving credentialing requirements, just bringing somebody with no educational experience at all in the classroom to sub. So, I'm very grateful that we don't have to do that we're bringing back experienced teachers and staff who know exactly what they're doing to work with our students. So, thank you.
There are no more questions. We have a motion.
Move to approve Resolution 2223/3.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. On to item, let's see, the reclassification of district accounts payable technician, Ms. Lujan.
Thank you. Good evening again. Before you is a reclassification of the district accounts payable technician. Upon review of the employee's responsibilities, we realized that the job as described did not match what the employee was doing. The employee was doing much more. So the job description was revised. AFT was consulted, and it's also recommended that we place this employee in a different range, so that way they're adequately compensated for the work that they are doing.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now the application for variable term waiver for Lollybeth Justinian.
Thank you. Lolly Beth is a wonderful math teacher at Jefferson. She's one of our teachers from the Philippines. We put her on a variable term waiver last year to waive the EL and basic skills requirement. She's met 2 of the 3 requirements in both areas, so she's made some really incredible progress, and she has a plan to meet all the requirements by the end of this school year, so this is just an extension to buy her a little bit more time.
All right, thank you. Do we have a motion?
Actually, I just want to note, again, thank you for bringing this for us. And this, highlighting another need in education, obviously. There are a lot of young teachers who don't have experience in the classroom, but who are extremely valuable working with our students. And of course, hopefully their work early enough in their career in education will inspire them to stay with us, despite them maybe not having training. But hopefully that we can provide that support and encourage them to stay with our district long-term as well. So I'm glad to see that, there are people with varying levels of educational experience and, of course, varying levels of credentialed, even if they don't have a credential yet, stepping up to meet the need of essential work here in public education.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. Lujan. Now on to our business services. Let's see, 15B1, Landmark Construction Contract Amendment Number 2, Ms. Van Raphorst.
Thank you, President Tejada. Good evening, everyone. Before you tonight is an amendment to our contract with Landmark Construction for the construction of our adult school and district office. In this process, which we have embarked on a lease-leaseback agreement, every time there are new components, we set a new guaranteed maximum price. So that's what the purpose today is to set a new guaranteed maximum price now that Landmark has gone through the process of bidding out all of the subcontractors. So Kevin Brennan from Landmark is here tonight, as well as Director Stephanie Phillips. And they have let me know that we got good coverage on all of the subcontractors that we were expecting to bid, all the different areas. So these are competitive prices that were found. Additionally, this guaranteed maximum price includes allowances for any areas that were not bid at this point, as well as contingencies for the, regular contingency areas that we would set aside money for. So this is within the budget that we expected for this project, and I'm very excited to see that we were able to do that and still keep aiming for this LEED certification. There are very few school buildings that are being built that qualify for LEED certification, which is an environmental certification. And so I am excited about this project, and like I said, Ms. Phillips and Mr. Brennan are here if you have questions of them.
Mr. Ochapinti.
Yes. So I do have questions for our representatives from Landmark. As previously noted or as noted in previous meetings, this construction project, for clarification, is the construction which has bulldozed Westmore Park, which is recently destroyed and now is engaging the next stage of construction of our district office and the adult school and related facilities. So my first question would be, and I know this is a leaseback agreement. This is, as noted in our agenda, in terms of bidding, this is not an open bidding process. This is a leaseback process. So my first question would be, the original, I guess, target was $59 million. Is that correct? In the neighborhood of $59 million? So the current total is $67 million, $428,558. It notes in the amendment that the original target was, if you're saying it wasn't $59 million, what was the original target price for construction?
The estimated budget for the project was $68 million.
So here it notes that in the third paragraph of the document posted, whereas at this time the parties desire to further amend and supplement the facilities lease to, among other things, establish the GMP, the ceiling, apparently, right, for this project. For construction of the project, GMP 2, in the amount of $59,460,991.0 dollars, not including GMP 1, contingency in the amount of $2,973,000, and it goes on and so forth. So I guess my question would be, why, what is the discrepancy, or what is the difference between the original $59 million and the $67.4 million, roughly, that's the final amount?
Mr. Lee had his hand raised, and
If you go to page 16 of the document on attachment 2, the guaranteed maximum price is broken out in a table, which shows the total GMP of the $67,400,000 as noted, but you can see that GMP 2 is the third line down, GMP 2 for construction of the $59,460 that you're referencing, Mr. Ochapinti. And the difference, of course, then is the construction allowances of $4.2 million and the contingency that Ms. Van Rapport spoke to when she introduced this item. So in total, when you take the $60K of pre-con services, the original GMP 1 for the demo and earthwork of $723,000 plus these other new numbers, that gets us to the $67.4 million.
Thank you. I actually asked the Landmark representative to speak to that, so thank you, Trustee Lee, but I will actually ask for the explanation from Landmark. I see here, obviously, the breakdown of the math. My question is, why the construction allowances and the contingency on top of the construction costs that were previously stated?
We always have
So
construction.
excuse me, I'm asking a question of our representatives, our presenters, so please allow me to conduct this question. Thank you.
I mean, so first of all, just to.
President Tejada, will you please
just a
follow the
minute.
procedure of this meeting?
You know what, I'm going to allow it because they have worked on this, so.
I have also been reviewing this
I
document.
know, I understand.
Yes, we all are working on this,
I
President
understand.
Tejada.
I'm
Yes.
going to have Ms. Salahuddin
Interrupt
make a
me.
comment.
Sure, go
Make a
ahead.
comment, and then,
Go ahead.
you know, go ahead.
I didn't interrupt you and finish your question, but I think as a board, I allow you to speak. I also want to be allowed to speak. So, because the board meetings are for us to have conversations. So this is, I understand.
I asked the question, you interrupted. Continue, please. It's fine. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So I'm just going to finish what I was saying initially. So the board meetings are for us to have conversation, and are allowed to have conversation with each other. And if we have an answer to a question as members of the subcommittee, which we all voted to have Andy and I be members of the subcommittee, I don't know why you would have a problem with your fellow board member, which you entrusted to do this work to answer your question. So my response is going to be, every single construction project that we have all voted for, including yourself, has had a line item for contingencies and allowances. Because as we all know, with construction work, when it's done and you go back through, there's things that need to happen. There's things that could happen along construction, like, for example, for our workforce housing, who knew COVID was going to happen, which caused some extended construction, which was a contingency. So it is just good fiscal planning on our part to put a line item in for unexpected occurrences that we may not know would happen, and other allowances to ensure that we stay within budget.
Quick response before our representatives can have an opportunity to answer the question that I asked. First of all, I did not vote for this project, to clarify.
No, I
Second,
said other construction projects
This
that we
is-
have all voted for, just to clarify my point.
Respectfully, thank you. This is not other projects, this is this project. So I'm asking a specific question to our agenda tonight within the realm of public policy, and I'm asking regarding this project and this contract. So those rules and those issues are separate. When I'm looking at this, my question is, as I imagine anybody would look at, the difference of $8 million is upwards of 13% an increase of price. So we're talking about $59 million jumping to $67 million. So for purpose of clarification, at the least, my question was why the $8 million increase, and I would just like an explanation from the professionals.
Actually, I think I gave you that answer.
Yeah.
I mean, the math is all right there for you on page 16.
I'm sorry,
Mr.
Trustee Lee,
Occhionnetti.
you're not
Okay,
professional
okay,
presenting.
hold on.
Please observe the public policy process.
Okay,
If
listen,
you can't do that, I don't know why you're here. Yes.
Okay, so
Yeah.
he said he explained it. Did he explain it well,
Yes.
according
exactly.
to you?
So I would like that explanation from you since you're getting paid over $50 million to conduct this contract. Please, sir, thank you. Yeah.
So you want them to reiterate exactly what he said?
No.
Because they just said
No.
he explained it correctly.
This
Which is on page 16 of the document in front of
This
us.
is completely the wrong way to conduct public policy. I am deeply disappointed in the
Okay,
president of our
I
board.
understand you're deeply
We are paying
disappointed, but
professionals over $50 million to conduct a project. If an elected official has a question for the people doing the work for us, I'm asking for that explanation. As mentioned, I can appreciate input from other board members. However, I am not asking the board members, and I'm asking the professionals who are getting paid and who have been already conducting this work
okay,
at
so
Westmore
I
Park.
have all, okay, so do you want to, I mean,
My answer would be very consistent
yeah,
with Trustee Lee, in that the 59 million is the construction amount for the second GMP, and then the delta between that and the 67 million is the construction allowances and the contingencies that are in the project as well.
All right, my follow-up question is this. What allowances do you anticipate meriting, and any other contingencies meriting within a 13% increase of the price?
The allowances are all identified
There's line items for each of
on
the
page
allowances.
3 and 4.
Page 6 and 7
Right.
of
Yeah,
the
they're all
PDF.
identified.
Right, so if that's already being anticipated, why isn't it part of the original price, and why isn't that?
This.
It is. It's always been in there.
No, this is,
We're accounting for that amount,
yes,
so that's the guaranteed maximum price.
Right.
right. Why is the GMP 1 different from the GMP 2?
Because we just finished the process. So now that you, go ahead, Tina.
GMP 1 was the pre-construction work and the site work, so that was only $723,000.
Okay, so I guess my follow-up question to that is, and this is one of my issues with the lease-like agreement, is that it looks like we've established a contract before the actual contract has been established. We paid out $60,000 and then $723,000, where we're looking at that, and this was from June to July, and here we are in September, and now we are approving an additional $67 million.
Not additional,
not additional.
that's the total.
Yeah, the total, this is what I'm saying, is tonight's item is to approve it or deny it, correct?
To approve or deny the
Right.
next phase of the project, correct?
And
Correct.
very specifically, if we were to break it down, we're saying the cost of construction as covered by the buyout of all of the different trade items is $59 million. The contingency of $4.2 million shows the exact type of items that have yet to be
That's the
bought
allowance,
out. And that's the allowance for $4.2 million. and then suggesting an additional 2 point something million dollars as a contingency for anything else that's not on this document.
Right.
All right,
And
so-
this is standard practice in
Right.
construction.
And when we brought the very first agreement with Landmark, and when we brought the first amendment with Landmark, we made it clear that there was going to be this third, the second amendment, which is the third time that we're bringing the GMP. That's correct. That was always the plan. That's what we've said from the beginning.
So to note, this is one of the reasons why I am not in favor of lease-leaseback agreements and this process. Also, I would also add to it that this project was not with full approval by the board. I did vote against it because of the nature of it and the larger scope of work in our district. This has not been true to the way our bond money was asked for from voters. Voters did not vote to destroy Westmore Park. Voters did not vote to build a district office somewhere else other than this site. And beyond that, the nature of this contract tells me that in my prior questions or other contractors in the district, that the issue of change orders will come up. There are allowances and there are contingencies allowed for here. My next question would be, would change orders exceed this GMP? Would change orders exceed the maximum price being stated here tonight?
No, I mean, we've put allowances and we have a contingency in here, and we went high on the contingency so that hopefully we don't go over this. I mean, if there's some unforeseen thing that for instance, the city, which we're waiting for them to design our water line, you know, if all of a sudden they decide that we have to take it all the way back to Ceremony instead of what we've anticipated, yes, there might be a change order, but I don't think that that's going to happen. And because we've been really diligent about putting allowances and holding a large contingency.
Thank you, Director Phillips. I would say this is, if, for example, the city has noted that there needs to be an extension of a water line or something to that effect from Ceremony all the way to Westmore Park.
Right.
One, it reminds me that here at Ceremony Del Rey, we are in Ceremony, and maybe that would be more ideal to build something here. But two, it also just reminds me that the change orders that we have seen in the past, this is $8 million, and this is about 13.5% above the $59 million, at a total of $67 million, that I would hope and I would expect, actually, that we don't have any change orders, given that we have $8 million of leeway for this project to be completed. Again, I am not in support of the project and the price and everything included with this, because I feel like it was mismanaged by the board, not including myself. But I do think that it is important to point out the price of these construction projects and the lack of public input that has informed how these things are moving forward. This is a lot of bond money being spent on this project, and we have a lot of improvements to make across the district, as you know. And I believe this is one thing that should be paid attention to closely, not only by people in our district, but by the community as well, because the city should be involved in something like this and should have been involved with a further environmental impact report beyond any mitigated negative declaration and anything else that has led to this point. This park is destroyed. So I hope that this project moves forward with full good faith and good integrity. But I have to question that because of prior projects. So I just want to say that, and I want to make sure that this price is held to, and that this board does not budge on that in raising anything above an $8 million contingency and allowances fund for a project of this nature.
Mr. Lee, you had your hand raised?
Yeah, I just want to make a motion to approve the landmark construction contract amendment number 2.
Second?
Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Garrett.
Aye.
Trustee
No.
Aye.
Vice President Lee.
Aye.
President Tahada.
Aye. Thank you very much. Now on to the HKIT additional estimating services. Ms. Van Raphorst.
Thank you, President Tahada. So as you know, HKIT has done a master planning process for us, and we would like to add a small scope of service to allow them to do 2 things for us. One is to create site maps of each of our school sites that we are lacking. We need those site maps in order to implement our new safety plan. And so that would be part of the work. And then additionally, we'd like them to do a few more estimating exercises. There are some situations where they gave us repair costs where we would like to see replacement costs, and vice versa, where they gave us replacement costs where we would like to see repair costs, so that we can bring our recommendations to the board on what to start with the master plan.
Okay. Mr. Ochapenti?
Yeah, thank you for the information. My first question is, looking at the document, it's a letter, but where is the actual proposal?
This is the proposal.
So the one-page letter from HKIT.
Yes. Because we already have a contract with them for the master plan that they created for us.
Right,
So this is just an additional services.
okay.
So this just outlines what they're going to do.
For clarification, so they're moving forward the master plan without site maps?
Master plan is complete. We had a work study on it not too long ago. So yes, that's correct. They had access to professional drawings, construction documents, but those aren't site plans that we can share with principals or with evacuation maps, like those kind of things. So this is more a simple site plans, not construction documents.
Because we do have maps of the schools, but they're inadequate for the safety plan that we're trying to update.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the contract, for clarification, is $50,000 to create site maps that do not exist.
The adequate ones do not exist, that's correct. We need ones that are more detailed.
When was, I guess my last question is, when was the last time we had site maps updated?
Been more than 7 years. That's all. I'm not sure when's the last time, but I've been here 7 years and we haven't done it in that time.
And these site maps would replace the site maps that have changed drastically, or is it just
They're
site
just
maps?
inadequate. The ones we have are not really to scale. They weren't drawn by architects. Yeah.
So the one that we use for Terra Nova, an art teacher did that, and I paid her to do it when I was a vice principal there, so that we could have, quote, evacuation maps, but definitely cannot be used for the system that we're trying to put in place, the safety system we're trying to put in place now. And I think that the one for Oceana is similar to that, where an art teacher just drew the maps.
In Westmore.
Not really to scale or, so that's our concern.
And Westmore and Jefferson have changed drastically. in
Yes,
7 years.
drastically.
And note that this is written as a not to exceed 50K, so it's very possible they may not actually spend the full 50,000 to do this work. So, I mean, it's pretty, I mean, they're just billing us on an hourly basis up to 50,000.
Thank you for that clarification, yes.
I feel like this is an essential service. We need to have this done.
Also, I want to note, thank you, Associate Superintendent Basuino, for actively engaging the best experts we had on hand. Apparently, artists in drafting, is not
creative.
Easy. It's not easy work, but it is essential work that people have done and have served our district up until this point. The reason for my question, I find it hard to believe at this point, given all the construction we've done in the last 20 years, that we don't have any actual blueprints in our district that would suffice. So that should be shocking. And $50,000 is a lot of money to draw new maps. But if this is work that's going to help safety and security of our students, and I would note this should be a priority and should have been a priority in HKIT's work from before any work in bulldozing Westmore Park or any other project. Our schools, there's new bathrooms, anything we need to improve in our schools should come first. And that work, I think, as a priority, requires maps. So it's important to have those blueprints and updated ones before we do that. But I think that should have been the first priority before
Okay.
all this.
I will just say too, it's just from doing construction work at my job, and it's not unheard of. There are two entirely different types of mapping and schematics. So, for example, I found out at my job recently for this very same reason when we started to do our emergency plans, because we are a much larger company than we were before, and we're starting to get fully formed. We've done a lot of build out. We've built 3 new buildings grown our campus. So we have tons of maps of our campus, but none of them are these type of maps to do emergency service work or, for events. Like I wanted to do an event and we needed to have an event map to send to, the different agencies to get permits. You can't send them the maps that you use for construction. It's a completely different type of map. So it's not unheard of to do a lot of construction work and not have this type of map. Also, the work that HKIT was doing was initially a lot of, as you bring up a lot, the community meetings and doing outreach to our employees to find out what were their needs and what they would like to see in the schools of the future, and then using the construction maps to give us an idea of what that would look like. So again, completely different work. Now that we know that this is a need, yes, it may be a little late to the game, but better late than never, we're getting it done. And so let's just do what we need to do to have the emergency maps that we need on site to make sure that everyone's safe.
And lastly, it's not just about the maps, because remember, we are also talking about asking them to look at areas for that potentially could be repaired or replaced.
Right.
So I think in my mind, this is actually a relatively, for work of this magnitude, it's really not too expensive.
Yeah.
So move to approve the HDD.
We have a question from Mr. Edwards.
You mentioned a term earlier. You had brought up that there was a distinction between repair and replacement costs. Can I ask what that distinction is?
Just like, for example, the Jefferson pool, we know is not in very good shape. And that's one of the things that we would like to make sure that we address in our next round of improvements. And so they originally gave us just the cost of what it would cost to repair Westmore Pool. Jefferson Pool, thank you. But the cost is so high that we would also like to see how much would it cost to replace the pool, just like start from scratch, to see if it's just a little bit more, maybe it makes more sense to get a brand new pool. So there's a couple of areas in the master plan where they gave us replacement costs where we would also like to see repair cost or vice versa.
Thank you very much. That is all for me. You may continue with the moving forward of the motion.
Have a motion on the floor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now for the CalShape Grant Agreement and Resolution 2022-23/4. Ms. Van Raphorst.
Thank you. My last item today, I have good news.
Yes.
CalShape grant, you may recall that we accepted a CalShape grant not too long ago to do an inspection of our HVAC systems, do filter replacement to medical grade MERV filters, and install CO2 sensors in all of our classrooms. And the grant only covered our 3 Daly City schools, so we paid out of grant funds to include our 2 Pacifica schools. In this next round of grant funds, they have agreed to reimburse us for the Pacifica schools. So, yay.
Yay. Get a motion?
Move to approve the CalShape grant.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That's a win. That's a win-win right there. Consideration of future agenda items? Mr. Ojapinti.
Yes, I propose a resolution for several, I think, Heritage and History Months that don't believe we have approved, but we have celebrated in other ways, but for the board's review and approval. So the Latinx Heritage Month, Native American Indigenous Peoples Heritage Month, Filipino Heritage Month, and for this fall, and I know we've approved other Heritage and History Months, Arab American Heritage Month that's in the spring, but at the very least, those 3 because they are coming up this fall and currently happening. And I will help provide resolutions as a template for those, for at least some of those.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's go home.
Meeting adjourned at 7:45. Thank you.